Hey Ryan, Michael Galloway here with We Don't Need No Stinking Record Company.com, and I am talking with Chuck Rainey, a guy I consider a rather iconic bass player who's been there in the background on stuff you've been listening to for years and years and years. And Chuck, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for spending the time with me for these posts. And I really appreciate you, man. I know you're extremely busy and doing a lot of stuff. So I do have a question for you around, we were talking on the last post about how things have changed, the business has changed, and for you, how the technology has really helped things along. Now, I know sometimes a career happens in that it evolves, and I think you're one of these people, your career kind of evolved. You weren't necessarily planning each step of the way, but you took advantages of opportunities, and you made things happen as you were going along. But can you think of anything specific that would have changed under today's rules and the way we're operating from the way you did things? Have you spotted anything that would have significantly changed about how you would have gone about developing your career under this kind of new regime, the new way things are happening?
Well, that's kind of hard to say because it's not going that way. And all I can do is guess.
Yeah.
Guessing is kind of dangerous because it's all our perspective of what we've already put in our brain.
Yeah.
And everybody goes about it and sees things differently. One thing that I can say for me is I don't regret the way that it went for me, and that above and beyond anything, aside from being human, I'm a bass player. And in playing bass and in playing music, I'm also a musician, but a musician who plays the bass. And that's what I'm in love with, music and in playing the bass. And so I've been awake, I haven't been asleep. Sometimes maybe a lot of people think that I've gone too far as staying into the sideman mode, but I enjoy it, and it's also easy. Of course, it's not, it's easy most of the time. All I got to do is show up and just do what I do.
Well, you make it look easy, but I've got a feeling there's some stuff in there that's pretty challenging. But when you've got that passion,
they're challenging. There's always, that's a part of life.
Yeah.
One thing that everybody has to watch out for, basically, is making sure that they are as skilled as possible and have as much experience. And along the way, you run into situations like working for people who would have rather have had somebody else, like their brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Not that they don't dislike you, but they wanted to use somebody else, and they have a tendency to treat to treat you that way. Also, too, on the other hand, it's the same thing, just the opposite way. It's a challenge to work for people that we don't particularly care for.
Yeah.
When we call to do a job. But the music is the first thing to be thought of rather than anything else. And the real professionals, basically, they're called back because they can, they're not that they're easy to get along with, but there will be no compromising problems that would just make somebody lose interest in what they're thinking and what they're doing.
I think what you're telling me is all the things that you're telling me are things that I think would work no matter what age of humankind that we're in. That and keeping your antenna up and being willing and able to adjust to a changing landscape is probably part of it too. But you did that. You just did it in a different age than we are now. And so I think that's probably pretty good advice for the folks out there that are thinking about going along this path. It's the result will be different most likely because we're coming into a new age of things being done in a different way, but the approach isn't all that different. It's a pretty standard human and business-like do what you say and say what you do and try to love and be passionate about what you're doing, and it's going to serve you well, and I can't argue with that at all.
There used to be one or two places where you were a melting pot, and I consider, for what we're talking about, the business, melting pots are like New York, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Of course, as time has gone by, you go to look at Tokyo and Paris and London, and also too in Nigeria and Lagos.
Uh-huh.
The African brothers and sisters are coming in playing.
Yeah.
Putting their mark on it too. Nowadays, you have more than that. Just about any place you go, somebody's got a full-blown studio. And melting pots, they do help. I'm so glad that I did go to New York and did go to LA, because the two places are entirely different. And the people, how they do things, and how they get things done. Nowadays, you can do that in your own backyard in a way.
That's
Because
true.
a lot of people do not have to go to New York and LA. They just
Yeah.
have equipment, and expertise.
Other than developing the personal connections with people, which are extremely important, especially if you're in a group that's kind of bucolic and you're going to watch it evolve, and you want to be in Nigeria for that world music thing happen and watch it all merge together. But other than that, the world is shrinking too, and we can do an awful lot through just our connectivity technology-wise. Hey, talking about equipment, just for the gearheads out there, what are you playing these days? What kind of bass and what kind of amp do you like?
Well, I'm playing Ginsman's amplifiers and speaker cabinets. I've been knowing Jeff for many years, and I like working with people that I've had a long-time relationship with, and that I know. I haven't used his equipment all the time I've been knowing him, but I did start out using his equipment, and then as time has gone by, and I've changed from manufacturer to manufacturer. And again, a few years ago, we met up again, and I liked what the new stuff was, and so I've been standing by it. As far as basses go, right now I'm playing exotic basses. They're made in Japan, distributed in Los Angeles, and they basically a 4 and 5 string, which I do play. They don't make a 6 string. I play a 6 string Spectre whenever I do the 6 string work, but primarily I'm a 4 string player, and I play this 4 string exotic, and I also have a custom bass made in Korea, which is called a tradition bass.
Well, I'll tell you, I've seen some of those Korean instruments. They are not priced very high on the market, but my goodness, there's some nice work out there.
Yeah, it is. International exchanges sometimes can be really rough. And I'm fortunate that his distributor in Korea is right here in Fort Worth. So that puts me close to that. So when it comes to the 4-string basses, I basically have been playing the exotic 4 and the tradition 4, which is my custom bass.
Now, when you did the talk that we saw here in Frisco, you talked about that 4-string players ought to also learn how to play 5-string, or they're going to get replaced by a keyboard player. Is that just simply because the keyboard player can go a little bit lower in the register?
Yeah. Also, too, like if you got another string, you begin to think that way. With a 4-string instrument, you think 4-string, and it's hard to explain other than it's a 4-string instrument. When you have a 5-string instrument, especially a low B, the competition for that sound is with the keyboard player. Also, too, from other individuals who even go lower. The thing is, people are beginning to write and request, and the feel of music that, you hear a low B, a notes on a low B string. So I think that everybody should at least be familiar with one. There are a lot of old-timers like myself. I don't have to go there because my career is already set on what I do and how I do it. But I still love to play, and I'm still excited about the instrument that I play, so I've got a low B. Just because I'm in love with the bass to do what it is.
Yeah.
Everybody should be acquainted with how the other instruments go. Like clarinet players usually know and can play a saxophone.
Right.
And instead of saxophone, usually knows something and can play an alto and a soprano saxophone. So it's all in the same family.
Chuck, thank you again so much for spending the time with me. This has just been awesome. This is just like a magical little peek back in behind the curtain that we all don't get to see into very often, and it's just tremendous. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate your time and all that playing over the years that I've enjoyed listening to. I'll speak for all of us. We thank you so much, and it's just been wonderful artistry to be back to. That's part of all the stuff that we've been listening to, part of the lexicon of what we've been listening to for so long. And it's just really...
man, thank you, man. You've been very kind. It was my pleasure to talk with you. And thanks a lot for your interest in my career.
Absolutely, absolutely. Folks, get out there and find Chuck Rainey. It's cool stuff. And I am Ryan Michael Galloway. We don't need no stinkingrecordcompany.com.